Congressman Mike Gallagher joins us now. Congressman, or should I say, well, I guess it's early to say Mr. Chairman, so I'll just call you Congressman for now. You're the incoming chair of this new Select Committee on China. You say we're in the early stages of a new Cold War with China. Do you view China as an enemy of the United States? And what is your biggest priority for this new committee on day one of the new Congress?
I view the Chinese Communist Party as an enemy of the United States, but it's important that we don't conflate the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese people. I think that's absolutely critical to our long-term competition with China. And I view the CCP in some ways as an enemy of its own people. Look at the way in which Xi Jinping has repressed the nationwide protests surrounding his failed COVID-0 policies. Look at the way in which they've used some of the tools of totalitarian surveillance they're perfecting in Xinjiang province in a modern-day concentration camp and exported that around the country to control the rest of their citizens. So it's important that we make that distinction constantly. And the most important thing we want to do as with this new select committee is make this a bipartisan effort. Speaker-elect McCarthy wants the Democrats to participate in this. He wants this to be serious. And to the extent possible, we want to identify where Congress can speak with one voice when it comes to the policy that best positions us to win this long-term competition with the CCP.
So the U.S. Senate just voted unanimously to ban TikTok from government phones. TikTok is a popular app that is from China. You have a bill to ban TikTok completely nationally over its ties to China and because of national security risks. For the 100 million TikTok users in the U.S., including two-thirds of teenagers, including two teenagers I know very well, what information could the Chinese government be collecting about them, and should they delete that app?
They should. And I recognize, particularly as a younger member of Congress, this will make me very unpopular with your teenagers and many others. But the fundamental problem is this, Jake. TikTok is owned by ByteDance, and ByteDance is effectively controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. The editor-in-chief of ByteDance, for example, is a CCP secretary and has talked about making sure all product lines, all business lines follow appropriate political control. So the question we have to ask is whether we want to give the CCP the ability to track our location, track what websites we visit, even when we're not using the TikTok app itself. And increasingly, since a large percentage of young Americans use TikTok to get their news, whether we want them to have the ability to selectively edit that news. It's as if in 1958, given that TikTok is on the cusp of becoming the most powerful media company in America, we would have allowed the KGB and Pravda to buy the New York Times, the Chicago Tribune, the Washington Post, all combined. I think this is a bad idea, and I'm proud to say that my bill is now bipartisan. I have a Democrat, Raj Krishnamurthy, who is joining me in introducing it. We've heard Senator Mark Warner voice concerns in the Senate. So my hope is that we make that bipartisan case. And now every member of the Senate is on record saying that TikTok is a national security concern and that it should be banned from government phones. So we're making the case, but we have a long way to go legislatively.
So I had the top Republican commissioner from the Federal Communications Commission, Brendan Carr, on my show a few days ago, and I asked him about TikTok. He told me that American kids using TikTok are bombarded with addictive content, pushing self-harm, pushing eating disorders, while the Chinese version of the app in China is pushing educational material and a mandatory time limit, so Chinese kids can't be on that app too long. Do you think China's doing that purposefully, trying to use TikTok to harm American children?
The short answer is we don't know, but Brendan Carr has called it digital fentanyl, and I think that comparison is apt for two reasons. One, as he points out, it's highly addictive, highly destructive. It's increasing the loneliness, isolation, and rising rates of suicide and depression we're seeing among America's youth. And also, like actual fentanyl, ultimately you can trace it back to China. The precursor chemicals for fentanyl come from China, of course. So I think it's a very good comparison by FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr. And that's one of the many reasons why we need to take bipartisan action to ban it. And as I said before, the ability to edit the news, I just think, is a massive tool and weapon that we don't want to give the CCP. The other thing is this: whether or not they're doing it intentionally, there's another asymmetry in our relationship. Chinese propagandists, Chinese wolf warrior diplomats are all over our social media companies, Twitter, Facebook, spreading dangerous lies about the United States, attacking us, while at the same time, they deny their own citizens in China access to those very same technology platforms. That doesn't make sense. That's not a reciprocal relationship. So one thing I've encouraged Twitter executives to do is to apply a standard that says if you deny your citizens access, we won't allow you access to our platform to spread dangerous lies. There's all sorts of ways we can get at the information competition, the ideological competition. That's an essential part of winning this new Cold War.
I have to ask you, Republican leader Kevin McCarthy still, as of right now, does not seem to have the 218 votes he needs to become Speaker. It looks as though this delay is going to muck up committees such as yours getting up and running. The Wall Street Journal editorial board, usually pretty friendly to Republicans, said, quote, too many House Republicans are too dim-witted to understand the uses of power and how to wield it. They'd rather rage against the machine to no useful effect, unquote. Is this internal fight hurting your party's ability to govern even before you take over?
Well, I think we will get there, and I'm not budging off my support of Speaker McCarthy, but you're right to suggest that there's no time to waste here. We can't spend all of January just mired in this internal battle. We need to populate various committees. There's all sorts of work that needs to be done in terms of basic oversight of the executive branch, as well as articulating policies and finding areas where we can pass productive bipartisan legislation. So my hope is that we get past this. Kevin McCarthy has done a great job over the last month in terms of reaching out to his detractors and saying, okay, what rules changes do you want to see? How do we fix this institution? It's not going to be perfect. Obviously, we only have control of one chamber of government, but there's a lot of things we can do. So it might take multiple vote series, but I believe we are going to get there. And the fact that Speaker McCarthy wants to do things like create a select committee on China, wants to make it bipartisan, I think is a testament to his prioritization in leading this next Congress.
All right. Soon-to-be chairman Mike Gallagher from Wisconsin. Good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us today, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.